Okay, we want to talk about the materials within Vizrt Artist 3, how to create them, how to use them, and everything in between. And you can see that I'm in my server here. I have my M tab highlighted, and I have a particular folder highlighted as well. Now when I come down and go through my different folders here, we may or may not see any materials in here with those icons. So we can create materials wherever we want them and save them in whatever folder we want. So we'll start with this folder here, and we have our M tab highlighted. Now we want to create a brand new material here. So what you can do is right click and you can say create new material. You can give it a name a while, so if you know what color you want to go for instance, let's say blue, we'll name it blue, and here you can see it gives us this little thumbnail or icon. We can double click on that thumbnail or icon and come over here into the material editor and now choose the color that we want through the little RGB slider here. Now notice that we have 4 different options here. There's a diffuse, which is selected by default, and we can come down here and select our color for diffuse, and you can see in the little thumbnail or icon here how it affects the color. We can also change the ambient color here too, and if we slide our color wheel down here, you can see how the ambient color affects the bottom half shading here. We can affect the specular as well by changing this, and again we can add some specular highlights to this color. We'll move down here to emission, and likewise again you have another color wheel here that you can select and change the color with. By default it's set to RGB, but we can come down here to HSV as well and then change the color further. Furthermore, there is a shininess as well, so we can increase the shininess of this material, and you'll see that right up in this little area here of the icon. There's also an alpha, so it's another way that we can make our container transparent or an object transparent by having the alpha of our material at 0%. So I'm ready to save this, and what I'm going to do, since we already had the name blue set up, we can just hit save here, and we can go ahead and close it, and here's that material. Now the way the material works is that we have a object down here that comes from our geometry plugins, and we can go back into our material that we just created and drag it onto our object. Now if we wanted to edit that again, we just click on the icon on the container, and again we have our color editor up here, the exact same settings that we had before. Now if we want to make further adjustments, we can change this color again, and it changes it up here, it changes it down in the render window, and it changes the color in the icon on the container as well. Now if we wanted to save this, what we could do is just drag this up into our server database in our M tab, and we could give it a new name. We could call it blue 2, and it creates a icon right there which shows us the new material. Now as far as copying materials, if we had multiple containers down here, it would just be as easy as grabbing that particular icon on the container and dragging it down onto the next container as well. And again, if you wanted to make quick adjustments, you could change it up in the material editor within the window itself. One other option here within your material, when you click on the icon, you have our center gutter bar here, and you'll notice this little square bar next to the material, and if we change that off, that will change it to a flat material within our scene. Once it is flat, you notice that the 4 buttons now go away, and the only thing that we're left with up here as far as our options is the alpha. And again, if we decrease this alpha down all the way to 0, it's going to create a fully transparent object. With our shading off, we can use our color wheel over here to adjust the shading then again. But however, this time, since our color is flat, we won't have any shading as we rotate this around. And if you wanted to just click that shading back on, it's as far as clicking that square button back on next to the icon within the gutter, and you can see now as we rotate this cylinder around, it picks up the shading that we have within our material. Once you're in your color editor, you also have a color picker here, so you can select your color picker and then slide that anywhere around the screen in case you want to grab a particular color from anywhere within the interface and or your render window. From your server window, if you wanted to copy a material, you just hold down the control, click and drag, and you'll see that little plus sign there that says no name, and then it will ask you for a new color or a new name for your material, and you can just type in a new name there and hit OK, and it creates a copy of that material. And again, from there you can go in and edit it in that window. You can drag it down onto your container first and edit it in that window as well. And then once you do change the color to something that you like and that you want to save, you can just drag that material up into your server database to save it for future use.